Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad speaking, and as always, it's an absolute privilege to be part of this crypto space. Thank you so much if you've subscribed, if you've written a comment down below. I just want to let you know I spend a lot of time going through every single comment, and I try and respond and give as much quality feedback as I can. I also want to say a massive thank you for all your contributions, because it's a reciprocal thing, and I regard this as a space where everyone's equal, and I feel very privileged to be accepted into the crypto space as I have been. So thanks guys, and let's get started. So the focus of today is actually entirely on Neo, so no surprises to all of you if you know me. I want to go through and essentially just talk about key news articles, try and keep it as brief and as current as I can. So we'll go through and start with the analysis from the crypto market, and then we'll go from there. So you can see guys, in the last day, things have happened that relate directly to the recent chain, the SegWit 2x cancellation, and you can see that just yesterday there was a significant rise, which was exciting for all altcoin holders, but since then you can see that there's been about a 7.57% decrease, and that is naturally to be expected given that there's certain pullbacks. There's also a lot of build up of Bitcoin Cash, and I talked about that in my recent video, but that is something I also expected to happen, given that essentially the scalability debate is now going to rage, because the SegWit 2 was all about trying to address some scalability issues, and because that was cancelled for right now, I think of it more as a postponement. There'll be a lot to come on Bitcoin for sure in terms of debate, controversy, and potential forking in the future. But for now, the focus for many different stakeholders in the Bitcoin family of coins is now repositioning itself across to BCH, and that's why we're seeing such a significant rise. So getting back to Neo, Neo is likely to reap the benefits of this sudden influx in the price of BCH, and that's because whether it be BCH or BTC, it doesn't really matter, because they both function as currencies that support ecosystems like Neo. So Neo, this is coming directly from Hongfei, is that Neo is not actually by design a cryptocurrency. And I've reiterated this in the past, but essentially it's an ecosystem that has a governance and utility functionality through its dual token structure. And because of that, and because it's designed to build out from this point forth as it garners more support and it has more businesses appending to its core system, basically we're going to see a very different model evolve. And we're going to see that with a few others in the world, like Icon Foundation, Aeon certainly working with ETP. So lots of things are going on to build ecosystems, but there's no reason why currencies like Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin can't facilitate, because they actually fuel these kinds of ecosystems with people like us investing in them. So next thing I want to talk about really quickly is some other information. So here you can see guys that the Neo price hike, we talked about that yesterday. We saw a 28% to 30% gain. That was fantastic for Neo, because basically, as we know, every time we get a pullback, it doesn't necessarily bottom out to the previous position. So we're not likely to see the $25 US bottom for the next I would say the next month or so. We're more likely to see it hit a little bit above that, which is good, because through these graduations we're going to see a nice rise in the longitudinal value of Neo, which is what we want to see. So this, and I'll have all the links for these articles, so you don't have to worry, but these are just to show support for what's happening. I wanted to briefly mention this because if you haven't seen it already, it's not to plug myself, it's more to disclose the value of Hongfei's talk in Seoul. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I did a summary of it so that you could go through and look at the itemized points of his discussion. But I wanted to focus on this particular slide because if you're not familiar with the new dApps coming up or the ones that have been built, we're talking about Red Pulse, Qlink, Elastus. We're talking about some really exciting things with the high performance blockchain. We're also talking about relationships with Bancor and Loopring, and then of course there's Aphelion as well. I've been asked a lot about Aphelion, but again, I'm not going to be commenting on that because I don't know enough about it. There hasn't been enough release of information in my view, and I'd like to know more before I put that out there for anyone, to regard any information I might say as of any value. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the Reddit posts, and Reddit is such an awesome location to get Neo information. If you haven't subscribed, if you're not familiar with Reddit, just type in Neo Reddit onto your computer and you'll find it really invaluable to just quickly access some information if you're time poor. The reason why I wanted to talk about this particular post was it's about Neo Joy, which is an event coming up. Well, it was an event for this Sunday, and they're going to be talking about Q-Link, Loopring, and TheKey. Now, TheKey is actually an on-chain project. It's an identity-based project. It's very, very significant for China. It's got links, direct links with the government, so that's really exciting. And if you know anything about NeoX, then again, I've talked about this at length, but that's fantastic because NeoX is a cross-chain interoperable modality and protocol that allows for literally the conversations to be had between on-chain and Neo. And that, in a nutshell, from an economic standpoint, means that you can benefit from both ecosystems, both the private and the public blockchains. So this was a really great discussion point. If you want to know more, you can certainly go and check it out. The next Reddit post I wanted to talk to you about was OkEx. Now, OkEx is a exchange coming up. It's going to be released very, very soon, if it hasn't already, and that's just going to enhance the value of Neo because exchanges are significant for any coin to operate, particularly obviously the ones where they offer pairs, and we saw that recently with Qcoin, which was fantastic for Neo because it meant that not only was Neo a substantial coin within the crypto space, but it was something that was that could be transacted as a means of value to again purchase other things like gas. We're seeing that evolve into, internationally into many different exchanges. We're seeing that that's accepted, and when that happens, as you would all know, there's not that many in every exchange that offer that kind of pairing, and that's that just means that it's taken very seriously in terms of its mainstay position in the overall space. The next thing I want to talk about is Medium. Medium has an excellent article posted by Jono Liang. Thank you so much. This was actually to explain how to access Neo on the Ledger Nano S, and I'm just trying to produce as much information about the Nano as I can because I get a lot of requests from subscribers about that, and I just want to make it as easy as possible with simple and quality information. So there you go, guys. I'll put the description and the links I'll put the links in the description below for you, and hopefully that helps you if you're finding it difficult to get set up on the Nano. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is again another Reddit post, and this was really interesting. This was I've highlighted the key part I want to talk about, and it said here, so a member of the Chinese government's MIIT department and Neo's Da Hongfei will be presenting on the same stage, and that too with a member of a multinational, multi-billion-dollar Chinese conglomerate investor who has already invested millions in Onchain. So perhaps that's Fosun, because Fosun is the largest investor of and the primary investor for Onchain. Now, this is exciting because we know for sure that there are governmental representatives going to be present in New York for this, this discussion and this information that's going to be relayed to the public. But again, whether or not it be on-chain or whether it be Neo, what is important to know is that the Neo ecosystem benefits from on-chain investment anyway, directly and indirectly. And we also know that Neo was set up initially and on-chain was developed with a similar protocol design subsequent to that, and they're both based on unforkable delegated Byzantine protocols. So it's important for us to recognize the value of this government connection and to take it really seriously as well. If you are considering Neo as well, when you can see direct and overt connections with the government, it should give you some confidence, I think, to look into it further. Again, everything I say is not financial advice and it shouldn't be taken that way, but I just wish you well in all of your investments. I hope that you're making really informed decisions. I've found that research is the key. The next thing I want to talk to you about in terms of research, sorry, you can just hear my dog in the background. So basically, with the next thing, I found a bloke who had posted some information, a bit of controversy, I suppose, in saying that it's going to reach a certain amount by a certain time. And quite often I'm reticent to do that because I get so many requests from people to say, how much is it going to be by this date? And it's always, I think, a very unwise thing to just go and post that out because of the nature of the overall space. We've seen today from BCH that all kinds of things, crazy things can happen, and often there's a sentiment effect that we can see and perhaps sometimes foresee. But with regard to this, I thought it worthwhile in mentioning that I do concur that I do think it will hit at least $100 within the period of 2018. I think that most of us would agree that's a pretty safe bet. But again, the market is very volatile, and for that reason, I tend not to comment too directly on specific prices. The next thing I wanted to do is talk to you a bit about Tencent. Now, Tencent is really interesting because it's a blockchain project that has garnered quite a lot of support. And there was a question directly raised on the Neo platform, on Neo Reddit, about Tencent on blockchain and who is a partner. Because whenever we can sort of see overt links between companies like this and Neo, we know, just as we've seen with TheKey, we know that's going to have a positive impact on the ecosystem and thus the tokens. When I did a little bit more research, I just wanted to show you this bit of information. I found that there was a connection with the Summit Trusted Blockchain presentation. What I learned was that DAR was actually a member of this, and if you go and read through it, you'll actually find that Tencent were actually present at this. So the reason why I wanted to broach this particular summit was that when you have representatives from Neo, or Onchain for that matter, attending in key summits like this, and they've been given invitations to attend them, often in these kinds of ones it was a very much an invitation only, and very few public blockchains were invited. That is even more relevant in China because generally things happen in closed doors, and very rarely are public blockchains invited to things like this. So for that, just for those reasons, keep in mind that Tencent would have no doubt had discussions with DAR to some degree, or would have had at least an understanding of who he is, what he stands for, and what Neo is. And for that reason, it just adds to the weight of the potential for there to be a collaboration of some point in the future. So hopefully we can see more of Tencent in the future and see what's going on. The next thing is Ledger HQ, a tweet released about the Neo support on Nano S and Blue. So again, you guys will be familiar with the Neo Blue that's recently been promoted and come out. So now we can see that there's more support being added to this ledger as well, which is really great. Okay, so just getting on to like a more holistic assessment of news from Neo News Today, which is an excellent source of news if you are time poor. You can see we talked about OkEx. That's happening on the 11th of November, which is today for some parts of the world. We are also looking at updates in the Neon wallet. So thank you to the City of Zion. You guys rock. Swiss next, the future of money, TheKey, TDAX, Morpheus, seminars happening, FinTech in Korea. We know that Neo's been there substantially. We know about Neo Joy movement happening there, and then there's obviously the monthly reports that I've mentioned before. So great things are happening for Neo, and when we see this kind of scope of all these different projects, we just know that we're heading in the right direction, and we know that with a project that's very much a longitudinal one. It's not for a pump and dump. It's not for a quick altcoin to thrash out and pump up so that people can make a quick buck, but this is actually a very different paradigm. This is about building a major business, a major public-based business, decentralized as it is. It is about trying to garner support in various aspects of blockchain industries, which is really innovative, really exciting. And what I love about Neo, and I have to say, its transactional speed is phenomenal. I mean, when you compare that to other current blockchains, even Ethereum, it's really outdoing the majority of its competitors. And there are some, as I've talked about, like Red Belly Blockchain, the Icon Foundation is going to be really competitive. But the point is that they are at that level where they can transact at speeds that are really impressive, and heading towards even more impressive speeds in the future. So guys, the next thing I want to talk to you about is another Reddit post, and this was an AMA that was held on the 9th, and TheKey were basically going and trying to address various questions from the public. So hopefully you guys took part, and apparently it was just really, really good. Mikhail from Twitter, a really good mate of mine that I talk to regularly, he had mentioned that there was some really, really great piece of information, bits of gold that come out of it, particularly with regard to government ties. And so guys, if you didn't get a chance to find it, be part of that AMA, then at least go and check it out through the results and and try and connect with some people who may have been there, so you can have a better understanding of what actually came of that. Just heading over to YouTube now really quickly. I wanted to show you this because it's not something many people would know about. I just really liked it and a bit of fun. If you haven't seen it, the KCN News released a bit of a quick encapsulate of Da Hongfei, and it's a bit clunky, but I really like it because all the more news we get about NEO, the better. So if you want to go and check it out, check out KCN News, and you can see a bit of info about Da that you may not have known before. The next thing, and this is my last point before I lead you into a couple of links, is that if you want to know a bit about how to get gas, the title here is the closest thing to a crypto dividend, then definitely check out this, because I get a lot of requests from people to tell them about gas. The best way I can describe it, and as I've said before, is that there are two functionalities. It's a dual based system with NEO's structure. So from one point you have a governance token, and that is essentially the NEO token. And then you have the utility token, which is your gas token. So that's important, because when you're talking about the overall success of any ecosystem, you have to have an inbuilt utility in its design. And gas is really great because what it does is it rewards you. It's a reward system for all the NEO that you hold. So, I get people saying, oh, I should go and buy gas because it's worth so much and there's such a small amount of it in maximum supply. Well, you could do that, but in a sense, it's kind of crazy, because the more NEO you hold, the more indirectly you're rewarded with via gas, which you can then pump back in to add more NEO or other things you may want to purchase. So you're given free dollars, essentially, free rewards by holding NEO. You don't get that by buying more gas. So it's just something to keep in mind, but essentially it is a utility token, and it's unique. I haven't seen many alts that have this really cool design. So guys, if you want to know more, here's a brilliant site. I'll put it in the description below. It's for you, where you can go and read through it and understand a bit more about how gas operates in the NEO protocol and NEO core system. Okay, so just to finish off, guys, I wanted to just let you know that if you haven't checked out my website yet, my YouTube site, you can check it out here. There's all kinds of different posts from NEO. I do a couple of other reviews, but I do want to be really clear. I don't do reviews for the review's sake. I'm not one of those YouTubers, and I don't get paid for any of my YouTubes, and I don't want to either. I don't want that compromised, and I certainly don't want to get any money for reviewing companies that I don't believe in, or reviewing altcoins that I don't believe in. So I'm only about things that interest me, that I think are really good projects. And for that reason, if you want to check it out, you can be guaranteed that I'll only be looking at things that I would put in my portfolio. And lastly, Twitter is a little different in its purpose for me. I use that to interact with a wide range of people, some who just don't have the time to access YouTube. And these are people like, I'll reach out to Roger Ver or Michael from Box Mining or Arcane Bear, or I'll reach out to people like Craig Wright. I will reach out pretty much to anyone I think is putting quality out there. And if you want to touch base, just go for it, guys, because I genuinely am on Twitter every day, and I do try to make sure that I'm releasing some current information, and more importantly, I try to find out what's being put out there in the Twitter sphere as well. So guys, that's it from me. I hope that the NEO info has been of value to you, and you can see I haven't got a coffee today, which is surprising, but I hope you had an excellent day today, and I will talk to you very soon. It's Blockchain Brad signing off. Cheers.